Serve go first.
Should I pass these over to you?
Sure.
While we do that, no. Thank you, sir. Yeah, can you bring that up? Thank you. My name is John Jack Bucchione, and I live at 30738 Mary Mitchell Crossing. You know it as Painter's Mill, if that makes any sense. I'm here, there's a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to go quickly before we get to there. I put a film together because we've seen a lot of slides. I used to teach geography. I've seen more slides today than my entire career, so I put a film together for you, but we're not going to see it yet. Let me just unpack a couple things. No, here. It's already on there, but okay, what I'm going to talk about is I'm a property owner, and the significance of my standing, if you will, is I believe I'm one of the closest property owners to what you're talking about. That is Route 1. So I'm going to talk about what I see out the front window, counselors. Is that fair? Okay. So a couple things to unpack first before we put that up. There's only one on there. Go back a little bit to the beginning, please. Yeah, it's already loaded. Yeah, it's a video. Okay. First of all, a number of things with respect to these folks. I'm going to tell you what's not in what everybody's talked about. And so let me go ahead. Route 16 and Route 1 are very significant because we've heard a lot today about that particular property. What was left out is what's below that property in the corridor, subject to what Councilor said, which I agree with, cause and effect. Okay. You let me know when we're ready to run on that. Okay. Sorry about that. I know it's on there, loaded. Yeah, let's just go through this. All right, Route 16, Route 1. This is north of where I live. I live in Cave Neck. I want to say a couple things. There's a lot of things that have been said about Route 16 all the way down the corridor, depending on who you talk to. I use the metaphor of a swing set. That is what planning says, what you counselors say, and so on and so forth. I've spent a lot of time in the last years. My standing is this. I've lived at this property for 13 years. I've owned property in Sussex County since the early 1990s. Why this is significant is I've seen these now. As we go through here, here's number one that is not true. Everybody says the floodplains and so on. Well, I live right in that circle to about 11 o'clock. In the floodplains, it came over Route 1, Hurricane Sandy. They said it would never happen. Number two, they said that the experts, the engineers, Maureen Kelly from DelDOT, right here, DelDOT, they outsource to the engineering firms. And the engineering firms have the authority to make the decisions. I flew a drone over, this is Cave Neck, just so you know, and I superimposed the plan here. This plan was done prior to COVID. And over here, there's the one roundabout. 5 souls lost their lives right there on that particular intersection in May prior last year. This is where the other circle is going to be. I'll superimpose it here. These are unresolved. Noise, lights, what the last gentleman talked about, approach speed, eminent domains. They're not resolved yet for Cave Neck. To the left here on this screen, I now find out about Cool Springs, which is going to bring in thousands of homes. To the right, 3 miles up, a little over 3 miles, is Route 16. Which brings me to the fact that Cave Neck now gets squeezed from the north and the south. You are correct. Cooperation, coordination for this going down, but the overflow is now going to start coming to Cave Neck. So you must embrace the discussion of what happens to the rest of the intersections as we go through. So next, the impact is not just Route 16, Route 1. If you look at the maps that we saw today, see it up there? That's the little impact zone that everybody's been talking about. They didn't talk about south of there. And south of there, did you see what I superimposed? thousands of residential properties are right below what everybody's been talking about or the applicant has been talking about today. Why did they omit that? They just touched on it. But it's thousands of residents that are right below this that are going to be impacted. Now, I listened to the planning and zoning, and the planning and zoning audible, and I looked at the letters that were written. And I heard some of the testimony here today. I'm a property owner that lives in the direct impact. I've come before this county council before, and one time I was quite embarrassed, I don't mind telling you, because I was testifying on behalf of somebody's character. And one of the people whose name should go unnamed said to me, well, Jack, I have one question. How close do you live? How close do you live to the area we're talking about that's impacted? And I told them, and it was miles away. And they said, well, we want to talk to people who actually live there. What I heard with these testimonies, even when I hear Milton, Milton is an incorporated area. You all know that. This corridor we're talking about is an unincorporated space, which is your expertise. The other thing I hear, DelDOT, DelDOT, DelDOT. I've had numerous meetings with DelDOT engineers and so on. My father was an engineer. My grandfather was an engineer. Guess what, folks? They don't have a capacity of what this area is going to be. We talked about Rich Barrasso. He was trying to get to that point. And I heard different numbers of what would be added to this new property. This new property, I heard the number close round about 18,000. I still don't know. Is that 18,000 above the 17,000 that's already there? Or is it inclusive of that? I am here to tell you at this point, I believe what was left out of the conversation was 17 plus 18. And the top of the funnel is key to the entire corridor. So you cannot have this discussion unless you talk about the impact on all the different areas. So, I don't know, I may go with this. I know development's coming, and we've had sidebar conversations. All I have is a simple ask, folks, before I do my ask, is this. The letters. Those letters don't have standing as far as I'm concerned. I had a conversation with Stell this weekend. I know her very well. The jury's still out on terms of where some of these people stand, but I will tell you, those letters, not one of them was closer than where I live or the people on the corridor south of there, call it Painter's Mill. Milton is an incorporated area that is at least 11 miles west of here, and they have their own government, their own planning and zoning and so on. We are talking about an unincorporated area. I have one ask, simple ask. I'm asking you not to vote on changing the zoning on this today. I'm asking that we gather more information because I am surprised every day what comes out. That's all I got, folks. I know this is going to develop and so on, but please don't make that decision today. You know, I could say something here and I'm going to get myself in trouble. But you don't know me. I've spent my life's work traveling to Asia. I don't know if you knew that. I know a lot about it. I'm disturbed, and I'm having some folks look into it. Who's the mystery person investing the money here? I know a venture capital firm in Hong Kong called Ocean One. I'm not suggesting that. I'm not starting rumors, but I want more information before I can say we turn this into commercial without knowing more facts. So I ask you again, I leave you with this. Please do not make a decision on changing zoning tonight. Doesn't mean we're going to kick the can down the road, as you and I have talked about. I'm just saying, just a little time to breathe and gather some more facts, because I'm troubled. I'm troubled. That's all I have to say. Any questions?
Any questions of council? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
Give us your name and address, please, before you start.
Janet Lang, 26707 Broad Kill Road, Milton. And yes, I taught DJ. Fourth grade. I'm not in opposition and I'm not in favor. I think, like the gentleman just said, you just can't until you get more information. Like Mr. Riley said, I think you need more facts. You need everything. Talking about the circle that is going to be put in, it's fine, but my question is, how much insight has been put into the size of that? The one down on New Road, I go on that, and it's like, I feel like I'm cramped and I can't get around there properly in my car. So to send fire trucks around there, and then with now larger fire trucks coming because of the new homes, I think that really has to be looked into to make sure that that is, a proper size. And by fire trucks having to go south, what's the delay time to respond to a fire there on Route 1 at the Rookery? There's a couple houses, 3 houses there. So I think that has to be looked into. Also, I know a couple years ago there was an archaeological dig done right down at the circle. I was down there and watched them and, checked everything out with them and talked to them. But I don't know. I never saw anybody back at the back part of that property on the corner. There used to be a church that was built there in 1818. Was that archaeological dig done there to see if there's any graves right at the edge of that property? So that's another concern I have. And out of the 65 acres that are proposed for this, how much of it, and probably don't have this answer yet, but how much of it will be left green and how much of it will be in blacktop? I noticed there's 3 drainage ponds that is proposed, and there's not one close to Route 16. I live 1/4 of a mile down 16 from where this is going to be. And right now, I have water running down 16 into my yard. I've spent thousands of dollars to keep the water from going in my basement. And now I've had thousands to put water down, and it's still going in my front yard. So I think that's another thing that DelDOT might look into. Also, I had one question that was for Mr. Hughes. He was talking about putting a traffic light at the end of Zion Church Road, and I couldn't hear you to figure out the significance of that, since there's Zion Church Road comes right out, and across the road is a field. So I couldn't quite figure all that out. But if you'll please take into consideration, I think few things more need to be studied before a decision should be made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Sir?
Hi, my name is John Miller. I live at 22638 East Cypress Way. That is in the Woodfield Preserve development that's been referred to a few times. That's very close to this intersection. Really, I've been sitting here for 3 hours, so I thought I had to get up and say something after all that time. I can't believe you folks don't have your heads on your desk. I admire you for that. My comments are the shortest of any you've heard, probably. That is simply that I sent you an email last night, and I will read very briefly from that email. In your campaign, Mr. Schaefer, you said that I'll aggressively manage growth and prevent sprawl into our farmland. If this isn't sprawl into our farmland, I don't know what is. I mean, it certainly isn't. And the jump past Cave Neck into this area seems unnecessary to me. And the concept of there being a water park / entertainment area at that intersection is horrifying to me, and I think many others that drive up and down Broad Kill Road in that area. So, brief comments. I'm a citizen and a voter. I don't have an economic development dog in this fight. I only have living there and breathing and hearing.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
for your time.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition, sir?
Hello, my name's Ennio Mastriani, and I live in Painters Mill community at the intersection of Cave Neck Road and Route 1, 16299 John Rowland Trail. Our community has established an ad hoc committee of the board to look at and to monitor development along Cave Neck Road and Route 1. And originally, we were only concerned about what was happening on Cave Neck Road, but now what's happening on Route 1 definitely impacts our community. And I'm intrigued by this number, 17,699 maximum number of cars. And I really don't know what that involves. Like, is that only for that one corner there at Route 16 and 1? What about all the development that will take place along Broadkill up to Milton? Those new, are those new developments that are going to be built there also count as part of this 17,699? And what happens if the Rookery Golf Course goes under, if it doesn't make it? And is there any promise that's being made that no development will take place if that fails? And what about the other two corners of the highway? Will there be development taking place there? And is the 17,699 maximum include that development? I think one of the things in talking to Councilman Schaefer that have come into my mind is we have had representatives come and talk to our community, and he was one of them, and he shared this vision about development from 5 Points up to Route 16, that we need to begin to see it as a whole. And the longer that our committee works with this, really couldn't agree more. And now with this whole Cold Spring community development that you all will be considering in a future meeting, it's hard not to think that Cave Neck is also not going to be a shortcut over to Hudson Road, or that Hudson Road's not going to be a cut-off, or Minus Conway's not going to be a cut-off. So there's more and more development that is taking place, and we feel that it's going to be affecting all of us. And when I talk to Del Dot officials, and we've had Del Dot officials come and talk to our community, they keep emphasizing that the main importance of building these grade separated interchanges is for safety. You know, we've had people killed outside of our community, and I think Councilman Schaefer, you and your family were almost hit, you know, going from Cave Neck on to Route 1. And so when I talk to Office of Planning and I talk to Del Dot officials, safety seems to be a main concern, and that these interchanges were built with a capacity in mind, you know, to prevent traffic congestion. And now we're beginning to see how all these communities begin to affect one another. So I think it should be deferred a decision. I'd like to recommend that you defer a decision until Del Dot really does come through and talk to us, to the community, about the planned developments that are actually in play and how those numbers will affect these capacities. I'm afraid that these interchanges are going to fail within a few years because of all the new developments that are taking place. I'm not against development, but I am concerned that safety is assured for us and that we don't have unbearable traffic congestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Anyone else in opposition? Yes.
Hi, my name is John Fitzhugh. I live at 13669 Coastal Highway, right across from the property on the northbound lane of Route 1. And my opposition is I'd really like to have a better clarification of what those total traffic numbers are. I see the numbers and I didn't follow exactly how things were written up in the plan I saw. So I'd like a little bit more clarification on that. Also, if you take a look at that property, one of the proposals had a large megaplex basically in there, a large parking lot and all that. I didn't see that in this latest drawing that Mr. Hart had up there. And I'd like to get a clarification. Is it going to include that extra piece of land, down into the that lower left-hand side, or just be that narrower strip? That was
Number one, that's not the application. The application is a piece of that. That's the entire tax map parcel there that's up on the screen now. Okay. So the application itself, and Mr. Whitehouse, maybe just put that up on the screen quickly so they can see that that's not the application, it's less than that.
Right, but
yes.
From the previous zoning commission and what's currently in the package that's available up on your webpage, it included down in this area a larger complex.
That's not part of this conversation.
So we're not including that.
No.
No.
And then one other comment I just wanted to make. The one lady was talking about grocery store. None of the documentation mentions anything about a grocery store, and why would you need C3 in order to have a grocery store? You can have that in C1, right? So I can't see with what we're talking about here why we would have to go to C3. So,
Okay.
And this drawing here, I didn't see that in any of the packages. Is that going to be made available in the
Sure.
documents? Mm-hmm. Okay. Unless I just missed it as I was going through.
It might have been something that's.
It should be in there because it's the applicant's presentation. So, but we can certainly get it. If you contact the office, we can get you a direct link to it. So.
Okay, because I didn't see it in the presentation, so when I looked at it earlier today.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Yes. You're pretty good, Mr. Hutt. I didn't know I did that.
Yeah, this is good. I've had this view a long time. Hi. My name is Monique Fitzhugh. I live at 13669 Coastal Highway in Milton. And I just have a question. When Mr. Whitehouse read the what was up for debate today or discussion, he said 64 acres plus acres. But according to this, there's a demarcation line. And previously there was a map showing the demarcation line of separating the 64 acres. And one side said commercial 3 and the other one was agriculture. So has that application been amended to only include from that dotted line up to Route 1?
That's the application.
Yes.
It's from that dotted line up to Route 1 for C3.
Yeah. So has that been amended? Because
No.
Below that dotted line is not in this conversation whatsoever.
Actually,
But
the original indicated that was advertised was a portion of the 64.85 acres. It was not the entire
yeah, but
portion.
in the application itself, the whole application itself, there is no marking showing that. And in what we're concerned is if the whole thing is approved as a C3, or they still own it, what's stopping them from coming in and building something else in that green space?
They'd have to come back and make another application.
Okay, so the application has been amended. That's all my concern was.
Yeah.
The C3 is just that dotted line up to Route 1.
Okay,
Below there is still AR1, so.
yeah. So is that amendment to the application
That
open for people to look
AR1
at?
land is not even, no, it's not a public discussion whatsoever.
Okay, but,
They're not asking you to do anything with that land.
okay, so there's nothing in writing.
No, ma'am.
Well, the only thing that this council is considering, so if they would pass this, the only thing they're considering is from that dotted line to Route 1. Everything else would be left AR1, or
But
whatever
as-
its current zoning is.
As of this moment, there's nothing in writing. That's all I wanted to know.
Well,
Okay,
the
thank you.
application itself had the map, did it not, Mr. Whitehouse?
You're right, and this map now forms part of the application. So should council take action on this application, that decision could theoretically be linked to a plan specifying an area. So
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Operator, can you check to see if there's anyone listening remotely that would like to comment on this application?
At this time, there is